Welcome to the Ontario Outdoor Pursuit Podcast. This Ontario-generated podcast is here to talk outdoor living, fishing, and hunting. Give all kinds of geeky tech talks and hunting tips with things that have worked for us. We all have a story to tell, and here's ours.
Oh, okay. I see.
What's going on, everyone? Cam here, Ontario Outdoor Pursuit. This is episode number 5 of the Whitetail Wednesday. This is our Whitetail mini-series, and it's all about certain behaviors of what deer are doing and what kind of activity is going on where. So I have a special guest join with me tonight, Dawson. I've actually ran into Dawson before at Antler River, so we've met some time ago. Dawson, how's it going, buddy?
Good, Cam. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. So aside from, we'll get into tonight's your tonight's adventure, but how has the previous weeks been for you so far?
So I took off quite a bit of vacation days, hoping that things would pick up immensely last week with the full moon and everything and the temps, the cold fronts we've had. So far, it looks like my predictions have been kind of wrong, I should say. So I haven't seen, as of last week, I had my first encounter with one of my target bucks, nice 9-pointer. Kind of snuck up behind me. I don't have a shot behind me in my one stand, and he practically came underneath my tree, and I wasn't able to get a shot off as I have a lot of coverage on this birch tree. And I think he saw me and got spooked. So unfortunately, I was unsuccessful in getting him that night. That was Friday night, the night before the full moon. So I've been hunting hard all last week. Seen some does here and there, spike bucks, but it hasn't really picked up. That buck wasn't really looking for does. He was kind of just eating acorns off the ground and stuff like that. That was October 30th, I believe. So since then, I've been hunting pretty much a lot this week and evenings after work and stuff like that. Starting yesterday, I have seen the chase begin, I should say. Last night around 5:10, 5:20, I saw that same target buck. He came in, was looking for does. I tried calling him, no response from him. He actually headed the opposite direction of me. I know unfortunately that night, there was another hunter close by to me because I heard him rattling about every hour. So unfortunately, I feel like that kind of didn't help out. By the way, I hunt in WMU 78.
Okay, yeah.
So quite a ways away from the Antler River Archery area.
How far are you out of London, really?
About 2 hours, two
Okay.
and a half hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm more east of you guys.
Yep.
So definitely, I've seen and witnessed some of the hunting in your guys' area there, and I've seen the population, what it's like, and it's pretty. You guys are pretty crazy deer population there. So when I come back here, it seems to be much harder, and I really have to work super hard. Not that you guys don't have to work hard, but so far the sightings have been few and far between. But when the sightings are there, they're pretty good. So tonight I sat in a stand just north of where I sat last night. This night it was a southwest wind. Last night it was more of a northeast wind. So I sat in my stand, and around the same time, I guess around that 5:10 range, right as it's before dark, I seen a buck enter south of me, about 300 yards south of me of where I sat the previous night. And I saw he was heading the opposite direction of me, so I grabbed the horns right away, and I just banged them as loud as I could, and did a couple bleats as well. And next thing you know, he's coming charging my way. I'm hunting on the edge of an alfalfa field, or I should say in between two alfalfa fields, and kind of like a gully.
That's wicked.
So wind blowing off the right side of my cheek. I'm facing the direction he's coming from, so he comes charging my way. And in my mind, I don't think he's going to come into range, just because it's a field, anything can happen. I'm just hoping he comes close enough. So he's coming in. And I didn't want to film just because he was coming in so fast. I had my bow in my hand. I couldn't get him on film. And I pick up my bow, and he's coming in, and I could tell he wasn't going to come any closer. So when he went broadside, I drew back and I ranged him, and he was at 67 yards. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not making that shot.
Yeah, I bet.
I just didn't feel comfortable to make that far of a shot. As much as I shoot 60 and 70 and stuff like that, I just wasn't going to let that arrow fly.
Yeah.
So at that point, when he was broadsiding me, because he was trying to get downwind of me when he was coming into the call, so he's downwind of me. I have my ozonics going. So I don't think he smelled me. But right after I drew back and I was on him and I knew I wasn't going to make the shot, he turned around, kind of ran 50 yards south of me, stopped, looked around, and then at that point I drew back down. And when he was looking the other way, I brought up my grunt call and I grunted at him, and he snapped his head back at my direction and looked my direction and kind of stomped his foot. So I was hoping he was going to come back and start working my way again, but closer, but unfortunately he decided there wasn't any action there for him, so he left. So, pretty exciting night, to say the least. So far, these last 2 nights I've seen the chase kind of pick up immensely. So I think I took my vacation days at the wrong time.
Yeah, I would, because you had mentioned that you're starting to see the chase down up your way, and kind of where we are. I was out with the Heathen Outdoors guys, and we had seen the chasing 3 weeks ago, I think, at this point. Yeah, we're in November, so probably 2.5 weeks ago, and the chasing had really kicked off then. And Bucks have been sparring here for 2 weeks at this point, pretty repetitively. And it's crazy that you're not that far away, but there's that change in behavior. So now you also said that you were with your bow tonight, correct?
Yeah, with my bow tech.
So what is your controlled work there? Because we're right now in the beginning of our controlled hunt for shotgun muzzleloader. Pretty well, I think. I thought up to your guys' area, but you were out with your bow?
Yeah, so my area is kind of a unique area. WMU 78 is a bow-only season, October 1st to December 31st.
Oh, wild.
So no gun season, not a lot of pressure. Which is actually pretty good because you don't really get to hunt that many areas. It's a small area. It's kind of... So if you look up WMU, let's say, I'll tell you specifically, I hunted WMU 78E, and it pretty much goes to, say, kind of Scarborough-y, just outside Toronto.
Okay.
And then it pretty much goes east all the way up to Oshawa, and then it goes north, kind of Stouffville-ish area. So that's the reason why it's bow only, because it's so close to the city, right? So
yeah.
I'm pretty close into the city. So, I don't really have that gun pressure, which is amazing.
Absolutely.
So I'm lucky to be able to just get in whenever I can, and I don't have to worry about a season closing, because we do own 75 acres even further east in Brighton.
Yeah.
Just before Belleville.
Yeah.
And they have their gun season's on right now, so it's kind of that same scenario. So I kind of bounce back between the two. I haven't been able to actually hunt my 75-acre property yet. I do have some cell cams out there. I have some nice bucks coming out. I'm going to head there this weekend. Unfortunately, there's warm weather, but I don't think that warm weather is really going to have a huge effect on the rut right now.
Yeah, I'm just looking at a map here. That's quite the stretch up towards the Oshawa way there. That's a pretty good stretch of bows only. So if you can certainly lock down the property, I would might have to share your spots, and I might come join you.
Yeah, I've been trying. It's actually really hard to get permission in these areas because when I got permission on this property 2 years ago, and I've been learning it. I've had some crazy experiences the last 2 years. Some amazing footage. Some of the most amazing stuff I've seen that other hunters have never seen, and I'm just trying to dial it in now. But when I went to go ask permission, I probably went out to about I don't know, 30 to 50 maybe farms and asked permission all around that area. Even Uxbridge, like all around there, like, and everyone was just like, "Oh, we got guys that are hunting here already," or "You're the third hunter today asking me."
Oh, wow.
There's a lot of hunters in the GTA area, so it's definitely been tough. So I've been glad I've locked down this property. It is a very small property, so I hunt pretty close to the property line of this property, and my access isn't the greatest. So it is tough, but over the last few years, it's gotten closer and closer now to being able to get that deer.
Yeah.
I should probably share with you guys. I've been bow hunting for 8 years now. Bow hunting, I guess, since I was about 14 years old. I have yet to harvest a deer in my life.
Really?
It's not to say I haven't had the opportunity. But when I started out bow hunting on our 75-acre property, the deer population wasn't really there. So my dad was a big hunter and brought me into it. He kind of said, let's not shoot any does. Let's try to if we have a big buck come in, shoot him. So my dad's always been a rifle hunter. So when I've been taught basically by a rifle hunter my whole life, and to just get a big one. But even though with a bow, kind of any deer is kind of a huge challenge, and I should have maybe executed on that earlier, so I had the experience. Because now at this point I've passed a lot of does over the years, a lot of spike bucks. I kind of just wanted my first deer to be a nice buck, like a nice 2-year-old or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm at the point this year, it's like, I need the experience. I just need to get it done. I need to, get that practice in, because I've had with all these crazy experiences I've had and stories I've had when I was a teenager, and all the, lessons I had to learn with deer coming in, and, I've had some big failures with, safety harnesses getting in the way, or, deer coming in at last light, can't see kind of deal. And there's a lot of lessons I did learn in my young years. And now at this point, I bought an additional doe tag this year. So I'm definitely going to take a doe probably in December this year. But it's been a long time coming for me. And it's been very hard, very discouraging. It's just kind of at that point, it's like, when is this going to happen for me? I don't want to, sound greedy or anything like that, because I've had plenty of opportunities to shoot deer, and I just, felt to me that it was going to be more special if I got a nice buck, but that's really definitely not the case for a first deer. I think the first deer with a bow or gunner should be any deer you choose to.
No, I can certainly appreciate that. It's a lot to take one, and certainly I know my run-ins with you, Dawson, at Antler River some time ago. You were sharing stories of some wild deer, some great bucks that you've encountered with, some awesome deer you've had on your properties, and the fact that you haven't harvested one kind of floors me, really. I know your ethics, as we talked a little earlier, are beyond subpar for sure, and I think you're doing all the right things, and your time will definitely line up. But I can really respect how much waiting time you're putting into it. Certainly something good is to come out of that.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, though, at the same time, too, right? Like, when that deer came in tonight, my heart's outside of my chest, because it's like, I've been waiting 8 years for this, and it's like, how do I calm myself down? So over the years, I've kind of just learned how to calm myself down now, and just put the pressure aside, and just close my eyes and breathe, and just, look at the body, aim, and shoot. Look at the racks, right?
Yeah.
And I think my lowest point of the season this year was on Friday night, when that buck came under me, my shooter came under me, and I couldn't get a shot off. And I kind of watched it slip through my fingers, and it was at that point I was just like, I'm done. Like, it's been 8 years. I'm done with this. I don't know if I could do this anymore. I've spent hours and hours, and I've seen crazy stuff. It's like, how do I continue doing this? And I started to think about it, and I listen to a lot of other hunting podcasts and stuff like this, because there's a lot of other guys in the world that experience the same thing, feel discouraged. I'm sure we all do. We've all been there. And I've just started to look at it differently now, and just started, instead of, having the shot on the deer and seeing that as a success, I see the success now is seeing the deer. Seeing the deer come is the success for me now. And tonight, when that deer I wasn't able to get the shot off, wasn't upset, and I didn't beat myself over it and scream at myself in the car about it, because I just knew, this is fun. Like, I like doing this. I can't take the fun away from this and be upset and mad, because it is a huge mental game, as you guys know, right? So.
Yeah, no, your time will certainly come, Dawson, and it'll be, I'm praying for you that it's going to be a absolute stud of a deer, something that'll even just put you back in your boots.
Yeah, I know. I always, I've wished for that, but honestly, at anything at this point now, like, I won't shoot a spike buck just because, I just what I want to do. I'd rather, shoot a nice doe or, a 2-year-old or something. I don't know. My ethics have just always been there to, grow the deer and stuff like that. And when that perfect opportunity comes, I'll take it. And, looking back, I wish I did take some of those big does when I was 14 or 15 with the bow. And it definitely was hard for me. But honestly, I've enjoyed a lot just watching and studying and learning. And I know the time will come soon. I just hope it comes sooner than later, because I'm starting to become pretty impatient. But
so I want to pick your ear over something that not a lot of people are too invested into, and that's the moon phase. I'm actually a big believer in the moon phase, and in all of my research, all of these books, I got my little book here in front of me, and it is just simply just a little calendar book that I keep, and I go through all of my hunts and I record everything. And on all of my recordings, after the hunting of our full moon in October, and this would have been the 31st this year, the last 5 days behind that full moon seem to be almost, I'm not going to say the worst, because it's still great hunting. Bucks are obviously still chasing in our area, and the rut's really starting to pick up, but it tends to be the slower time. Do you yourself look into much in the moon phases?
Yeah, I was actually a huge, because this is how my dad brought me up, but a huge believer in the moon, honestly. But if you look at online and you listen to other guys and what's scientifically proven, a lot of these, these outfitters and these guys on YouTube say that it's been scientifically proven that the full moon has absolutely no basically significance of when the rut is going to start, I guess they say. To me, the full moon, when I see the full moon, I look at, when that full moon's full, that buck is going to get in his bed before I get to my stand in the morning, and he's going to be probably already in his bed when I leave the stand in the evening. He's going to come out at night, and a lot of that breeding is probably going to take place at night. So I look at some of my best hunting days have been before the full moon.
Yeah, generally, I was going to say in my records, it would be the 3 to 4 days before, and usually even just the day before, you can notice it start to slow down. But I would say the 4 days before that full moon is when things are really going to pick up. That's when you really want to get in that tree stand.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I took a lot of vacation off last week before the full moon. I was in there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the weekend before. So I'm trying not to pressure my spot a lot. It's hard because it's small and I only have one access in. But the last 2 years, that's why I tried to pinpoint it when I should take my vacation days, because I saw a lot of my biggest deer I've seen, and a lot of the activity I've seen was around the 24th, 26th, 28th time frame of October.
Right.
This year has been really different. My sightings and my photos on my camera I've been so low this year compared to the last 2 years. I was starting to get very worried. But when I had seen my buck came in Friday night last week, it kind of changed for me. And then now tonight, because when they're chasing and stuff like that, it just explodes and you never know who's going to show up. But this year I've been actually really worried because I had my target buck the last 2 years. When I first got permission on this property, it was a deer I called Fracture. He was a 4.5-year-old. I was getting pictures of right away all over the place, and I actually got to film him breed a doe, mount a doe, and breed with her in the field in the evening.
Oh,
and that evening was October 28th, 2018. He came, that night was probably the best hunting night I've ever had in my life because around 4:30, I had a buck I called Pee-wee, a young 6-pointer, nice 6-pointer, came in looking for does. I couldn't get him close enough. And then 45 minutes after him, this nice 8-pointer came out, came about 50 yards, almost got into my shooting range, and then he left. And then right before last night, I see my target buck Fracture come into the field with a doe. And all those bucks prior to that came in that field looking for that hot doe. And sure enough, my big 155, inch deer comes in with her, and he's all over her. I tried snort wheezing him, grunting at him. He's with a hot doe. He's not going to leave her. So I saw 3 bucks in that one night in 2018, and I was just like, okay, I know what I'm going to do next year. And he was on my camera at 11:30 a.m. like 2 days before that, right by my stand. So he was looking around, and this is when I had absolutely no idea what was going on in this property because it was my first year. Then last year, 2019, I moved the stand around, moved some cameras around, and I started getting more pictures of him scraping, doing lots of scrapes around October 13th, 15th, 2019, around that whole week scraping lots. And then my Pee-wee buck, who's now 4-year-old, and Fracture is now a 5-year-old, they're competing on scrapes in the same spot, getting crazy photos. And on November 1st last year, I saw Fracture come in that field and breed that doe again, except he came in from an opposite direction of where I thought he was going to come in. And I'm like, this deer's doing the same thing, but now November 1st, a couple days later than the previous year. And I have some amazing footage of him looking right my way, and I just couldn't get him over to me. And that's the year I started taking out a decoy with me.
Smart.
So I took out a decoy with me that year.
Smart guy.
One early frosty morning. I think it was like November 4th. A few days after that, I had a decoy with me, and it was right at around just after 6 o'clock or so, I hear like a huge deer coming through the frosty, the leaves coming towards me, right? And then as he gets closer, I know it was him. So he's coming right behind my decoy, about to enter the field, and I'm like, wow, this is going to happen. And he looks at my decoy. I sprayed my decoy down completely, sent it away. I put some buck urine on it and stuff like that. And the wind was good, and he looked at it, stomped, and like scraped, and then like just blew at it, and then ran away. And I was like, are you kidding me? So I have not seen him since. To me right now, he is dead. I have no photos of him at all this year. Nothing. No photos of him. And I've actually kind of made me a little upset because I was looking forward to seeing, because he would have been 6.5 this year. Mm-hmm. Looking forward to what he looked like this year. So you never know, he could show up or show up next year. But that's kind of the big story I had since I started hunting this property was with him. And I kind of feel like he's gone now, and I've just kind of moved on with other deer. But yeah, it's been a ride for sure.
I wouldn't count him out just yet. I definitely know of a lot of close buddies hunting right now who some of their biggest bucks have been gone off of the property for a year and actually 2 years on one of my friends. And that buck has actually come back and seeing all kinds of photos of him. So don't count those bucks out. If they're wandering around going to new properties, they could come back, and hopefully that's the case for you, Doss. Just before we head out of here, what are you kind of expecting for your WMU in the next week or two?
I'm thinking it's going to pick up. It's going to pick up even more now. I wish I could be there during the week, but I'm definitely going to be a weekend warrior now. So I think from now, I think November 6th will be good. November 7th, the week after that, as that full moon is completely closed now. The deer will be moving more I think, during the daytime instead of the night. And I think it'll be, despite the warm temps this week into next week, I think it's still a good time to get out there. The chasing's happening for us out here.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to stay at it this weekend. I'm going to hunt a different property this weekend. And, hopefully, we close the deal. If not, we'll be looking at the post rut, looking into when the second rut usually happens for me around the last week of November into the first week of December. So hopefully we get it done before that point, because that's when it starts to become very hard, obviously, as you guys know.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I know you're being persistent and you're putting in the work, so it's bound to pay off sooner or later. Definitely hang in there, and the time will come. I think I'm like you said, on the point there of the heat being next week. Don't let that discourage you at this point in the game with that kind of heat. Those bucks are still going to be up, moving around. I think we're going to reach peak rut right around early on in the week, and I think that's going to be really good for us bow hunters getting back into the stand. So hopefully that's a good calling for you, man.
I agree, Cam. I hope you guys take advantage of that too. I'm sure you guys have probably had some good sightings. I've seen some of your stuff on social media there. It looks like things have been going good for you guys for a while. I've seen you've been out on some public land too.
Yeah, I did try my first go at public land on the muzzleloader, and it was, all I can say is you definitely got to do your checks before applying for your tags. I haven't actually partaken the muzzleloader hunt in 2 years now, so with me being on a new property that I'm mostly bow hunting, I actually decided to take the muzzleloader out there this year, but it was in the wrong WMU, so I kind of am only subject to public lands, and thankfully it's just a week and we can get back at it with the bow. But you live and learn, but definitely do your checks, do your research, and there's lots of resources available to help you make sure you're hunting the right area, and that's super important. But unfortunately, I'm going to and I did have a very nice 140 150 inch buck that I did see the night previous, the last day of bow, and he was out feeding in the field. I was really hoping to get back after there and for the muzzleloader, and just didn't fan out.
That's too bad, man.
Big time, man.
So your guys, so when can you get out there with the bow again?
We're back on Monday.
Oh, Monday. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I wish you guys good luck with that. I'm hoping, one of us gets some success. I see Vital Crave, they got some pretty good deer going, so hopefully it's our turn soon.
Yeah, I hope so too, brother. Well, I appreciate you joining in, and me and you will certainly keep in touch over the next little while. Would love to hear some more stories, and heck, give me a call anytime.
Thanks, Cam. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk to you later, buddy.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye.
So that was Dawson, and what an awesome story he had there. He's a good guy because he shoots a bow tech like me, and he's got some awesome stories. He's been a few years that have been very unsuccessful, so and that could be by choice. He's doing his kind of due diligence. He's allowing some deer to grow, and if you're on a private property, that can really help your deer herd and the quality of deer really grow. And I mean, for those people that have doe tags, does are beyond what we thought they would be as far as their population goes for 2020. So if you have a doe tag, don't be upset about taking a doe. A doe is a beautiful animal and certainly would fill the freezer. I know if I get the opportunity at a great doe, I will certainly not hesitate, and hopefully we can get it done in the next week here and put something in the freezer. I know I'm starting to lose meat, and I'm not a fan of going to the grocery store. So thanks everyone for tuning in. If you want to get your story heard, you can shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, Ontario Outdoor Pursuit. stay along with this ride and check us out on YouTube as well. Watch all our podcasts. We're going to have some films coming up of the hunts that we're on. And be sure to check out the online website and the shop. We have new camp hoodies, 3/4 tees, and t-shirts. That's www.ontarioutdoorpursuit.com. Support the podcast, support the brand, and get out there and hunt. We'll see you guys next week for episode number 6.